Hello, everybody. Welcome into the R&R Racing League live from the World Center of Racing, the high banks of Daytona International Speedway. Going to lay host to some Tuesday night money racing here to get things kicked off. Don't forget, Tuesday Night Thunder going to be a little bit later, a little bit of a preliminary, if you will, here tonight. And we haven't seen the R&R Racing League around in a little while, but making a return here tonight, and a pretty good turnout at that. Qualifying just getting wrapped up. So with that, let's get right down trackside and get into your starting grid. Cody Nagels for Dale Cup will take the pole. He'll have a teammate in Matt Lee rolling off on his outside in second. John Ward back in third. Hunter Reynolds, good qualifying effort for him. He will start in fourth. Larry McDonald back in fifth. Dustin Carruthers in sixth. Row number 4 is going to be Joe Herda and Nate Barkley. Danny Barnes back in ninth, and it's Shane Bradshaw rounding out your top 10. Row number 6 is going to be John Songer and Trevor Osroth for KSR. Joshua McCullough back in 13th. He'll have a teammate to his outside in 14th. Chris Carron, that is race control. Ignore that. So it's going to be Derek Raleigh who starts in 15th, and James Dean will start back in 16th. Looking at your race info here tonight, it is the Daytona 125. Here in the Craftsman Truck Series, 50 laps is the scheduled distance. Everybody has 65% fuel, unlimited tires, 2 fast repairs, fixed setups as always, and then 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. And I think, you know, the big thing that makes this series different from what we see with a lot of other money racing series is those 2 fast repairs. We've been kind of seeing a trend of money racing general shift from what used to be 1 fast repair now to a lot of guys doing no fast repairs, going in the opposite direction here, where 2 fast repairs gives you the chance to stay racy just about all night. But of course, you want to save one of those for probably those final 10-20 laps when things tend to really get crazy. All right, so as the trucks get rolling off the pits, we'll get ready for the green flag here tonight. Again, 50 laps, and with 65% fuel, that can get these guys each to probably, let's see, get them 50, 16. I'd say somewhere between, we'll call it 16 to 20 laps, maybe go a little bit further and say 18 to 20 laps. I think we'll keep it broad for now and keep it with 16 to 20. And again, we'll see how far everybody can go. And you definitely can't make it on a 1 stop if it stays green the whole way. Going to need 2. However, if we get a caution at some point, then that could certainly change things around. And it just depends on, again, the timing of that caution. Nonetheless, though, Daytona International Speedway, don't forget, well over 30 degrees of banking here. And that means we're going to see a lot of pushing and shoving. Track temp just over 100 degrees, so shouldn't be too much of an issue in terms of the handling side for these trucks, but it only takes one little mistake to spark up the big one, and got plenty of laps to potentially see it. Shouldn't be too shocked to see Cody Nagels, Matt Lee on the front row. Again, 2 Dale Cup teammates. You know they're going to be working together here tonight. John Ward, good qualifying effort, and a little bit of a different paint scheme for that truck here tonight. The Hyper Motorsports captain, but then you look at some of the guys who are more native to the R&R Racing Series, and look at a guy like Hunter Reynolds, Joe Herda, Nate Barkley, Shane Bradshaw, and these are guys who maybe not directly working on a team, but maybe they'll work together with some of the other members here tonight, as we do see some of the outside money racing teams with, of course, McCullough Motorsports. They've got a decent president here tonight. Talked about Dale Cup, KSR. So going to be a different sort of playing field here tonight. By the way, Derek Raleigh, series owner, starting from the back, so he'll have some work ahead of him, but he has more than enough time to do it. All right, here we go. Pace car going to make the left turn for the first time here tonight. Green flag in the air. We are racing at Daytona. Lap 1 is complete, and it's going to go to the 04 of Matt Lee on the bottom, getting a push from his teammate Cody Nagels. As the field, though, still 2x2 formation. It's the 10 of Dustin Carruthers who's doing the pushing up top. Trevor Osroth for KSR. Those 2 teammates right now seem to be pretty content pushing Hunter Reynolds, but it does look like there's a little bit of disorganization in that fourth row on back. See 3 versus 3 right now. Nobody determined to take it 3 wide, though. And again, we talked about 50 laps, at least 1, potentially 2 stops. I wouldn't be shocked if we see everybody kind of keep things pretty calm here for the early going at least, and just try to get at least to that first pit stop and try to get this field spread out a little bit. Try to thin the herd out, if you will, and then, of course, set yourself up for the end of this race. Now, I do, from what we heard, again, we don't have it confirmed yet, but we heard it's a top 5 payout here tonight. And the initial payouts were based off of 30, a bit less than that, but still decent money to be made here tonight. It was a $20 entry. That means there should be over just under 300 and, or excuse me, I guess I should say just over $300 in the pot. But right now, everybody just trying to get formed up, and still not seeing much action. But here we go, a little bit of 3 wide as there was some contact actually in the back row there between the 93 of John Songer and the 76 there of James Dean. They got to get lined up here. They're going to lose the pack. Meanwhile, 2 of the McCullough Motorsports teammates, Ken McCullough Jr. and Joshua McCullough, looking to the top. They're going to be the first 2 to make it 3 wide here tonight. And only 2 trucks is most likely not going to be enough. You need at least 3 to make some progress, and they're going to get it here. Derek Raleigh in the 17. He will jump up. And so now it's going to be the 88 of Shane Bradshaw who gives a push to the 7, and all of a sudden that surges that middle lane up just enough to make that 3rd lane drop back down and make it down to 2. And McCullough Jr., though, was able to size up another run. He will quickly jump right back up to the top of the racetrack. Now, normally we associate that 3rd lane rolling pretty well with a hotter track temp. And here tonight, it's kind of in between. Again, just over 100 degrees, not scorching, but not necessarily a cool track temp either. Man, you see the 7 with a little bit of blinking issues there. That's Nate Barkley. Ken McCullough Jr. is going to give him just a little bit more room as they actually really start to get it rolling now on the top. Derek Raleigh bails, though, for just a moment. Now he looks back up. But getting back to the point that I was just mentioning with that track temp, with what it is now, I think the best course of action here is, wait a couple laps, let the middle and the bottom waste their temps get hot, and then jump up to the top, and you should be able to roll pretty well. Problem is, when you've got a guy controlling both lines, as Matt Lee is doing right now, it's going to be hard to necessarily get either of those lines to overheat in terms of the lead pusher. As Lee jumps back up, and that will now give the middle a surge of momentum as the bottom pushes John Ward to the lead into turn number 3. Dustin Carruthers just behind. He's got a teammate behind him as well, and Trevor Osranoff, and then it's Larry McDonald running well early. And man, you can just see everybody fishtailing around a little bit. It always gets you a little bit nervous here in the early going, but we talked about it at the tip of the broadcast. When you've got 2 fast repairs, you kind of feel invincible to a degree, at least at the start of this race. You take 1 fast repair, no harm, no foul. Even if you play conservative at that point, you still got 1 left if you need it. But you don't want to have to waste both of those, at least not in the first half of this race. And 6 laps completed. So far, so good. Everybody continuing to keep things nice and clean. And that first pit stop going to be about 10 to 14 laps or so from now, as the 7 of Nate Barkley is going to drop to the bottom of the racetrack below the apron. And I think he was falling to the back due to internet connection. He's trying to get back up here, but he might have hesitated a little bit too long, as he's already lost almost a second now of time. He's got to keep this lead draft here to have a chance. Meanwhile, John Songer, who we saw with some trouble earlier in terms of being in danger of losing that lead pack, has now done just that, and he's going to need a caution here. Otherwise, this could bring his race to an end. So he will go a lap down eventually. And look at the speed difference. 170 for John Songer versus a guy who's running in the pack. Almost 190 there for Derek Raleigh as they were getting into turn number 1. Dustin Carruthers with the best seat in the house right now, 186, as they work their way down the Daytona Super Stretch. 3x3. Ken McCullough Jr. leading the top with a push now from Joshua McCullough. Those 2 have been working together here for quite some time in this race, and shouldn't be too much of a surprise, as we talked about that those 2 are teammates. And will anybody else think about jumping up now that Cody Nichols and Matt Lee have, to a degree, lost a little bit of control of this race, but not for long. As John Ward gets back clear of the bottom, he will take it. And that does push Matt Lee back to the point in the middle. Cody Nichols with a little bit of a different looking truck here for him tonight. It's got the gold and black scheme with the Extra Life sponsor on there. If you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. You're watching the Daytona 125 for R&R Racing League. Looks like Logan York in the chat. Good to see you. Crew as well. And Devin Ray says got a lot of known money racers in there. Could they team up and take on the others for an all-out brawl? That's a good question, Dustin, but from what we've seen so far, pretty typical money racing fashion with what you would expect from those teams where they've been working with their usual teammates. John Ward, though, he's lacking in teammates here tonight, so he will be working solo, looking to find anybody that'll go with him as he leads that lap. 9 complete. Ken McCullough Jr., I'll tell you what, he has been continuing to fight up top here, and it's just not really worked out well yet. They haven't, to be fair, though, they really haven't been able to consistently get a third truck in line, and we talked about 2 is able to maintain for a little bit, but you really kind of need 3 to have a good chance, and they just haven't had that. They've had 2 for a while. Derek Raleigh's peeked out a couple times to try to help him. Now it's Shane Bradshaw who's taking a couple looks, but still in the very, very early stages of this 50-lap affair. The 92 of Ward's going to jump up, and oh, Lee's going to split him. And John Ward is not going to be happy with that move. He's going to put that in the back of his mind. He'll remember that later in the race. Boy, usually you'd think that they'd be friendly. I mean, I'm really, really surprised to see them do that this early. You know, Lee was sitting there going back and forth in the lanes, and I know he had a teammate behind him, but even if Ward was there, I don't think Ward would have split him. And I mean, I know you want to lead every lap, but you got to have friends at the end. You can't guarantee you'll have teammates, but certainly no friends being shown there, at least not for John Ward, as Ward will now work back to the top, and I think he's fired up now. He says, all right, you guys want to race, let's race, and he'll try to lead the charge on this third lane. Ken McCullough Jr., his ex-teammate, says, let's go, and they're going to try to work their way to the front here. Joshua McCullough on the outside of Shane Bradshaw, and look at the push now. They've really gotten organized. Now they got that third truck. Ooh, starting to beat and bang in the middle. What a close call that was, as it was Ken McCullough Jr. and Cody Nagels that got into each other down the short chute into the tri-oval. Nagels pushing for all he's worth right here. Lee not going to jump down because he's trying to keep this third lane from getting clear. Now he finally does. Oh, now he makes another move. Oh, he's going to get turned. Trying to make a, oh my goodness, just indecisiveness. They all save it. Lee's going to be able to get back on the track. The one of John Herta is going to pick him up, but now this has caused a ton of separation and disorganization as they're going to all quickly try to file it back down to single file action and try to get back up with the leaders here. I don't know what Matt Lee was doing right there. Again, just too early to be trying to switch back and forth like that, and eventually it caught up with them here. So we'll see if they can get all organized here. In fact, Larry McDonald, who is with Shane Bradshaw, the first guy, is kind of out of this pack. They're within drafting range, so they're okay. Danny Barnes, though, right now about 1.4 seconds behind, and he contains everybody else that's trying to catch the leaders. So he is also still within drafting range and should be able to catch, although they have now fallen a second and a half back, so they really need to get this thing together quickly here. Now, they could be in danger of potentially losing the draft here, and Cody Nagels falling back. I have a brief idea of what Cody might be trying to do right here. Let's see if that is indeed the case, and yep, sure enough. Dropping back here, he is trying to act as a bridge. Oh yeah, you hear him letting off big time. Well, certainly some interesting stuff we're seeing here early. I think Logan York's actually sitting in the booth. I mean, Logan, this is kind of stuff that I don't even know what you want to call it. I'm sure you've got some words for it. Between the blocking we saw from Lee early and now Cody trying to make sure that his teammate's able to keep a draft, what do you make of it so far?
Oh yeah, it's definitely been an interesting race. Yeah, you got Matt Lee. I think he's just trying to find his footing here. It's a new league for all of us. I know I haven't run very many R&R races, so I don't really see that as much of him trying to be like super aggressive. I think he's just trying to see what he can do with his truck right now.
Certainly a good take indeed, but we appreciate the quick words there from Logan York. But I don't know, man. I feel, I don't know. Based off what we've seen and what we see a lot of times, I think this has been a lot of aggression early. I think there's certain guys kind of trying to establish a presence, which can, of course, fit into exactly what, we just heard Logan say. But we got to go back and actually look at this. We didn't get a chance to see exactly what caused that initial issue here for Lee, but watch this. Now, again, I talked about he was trying not to clear down strictly because that third lane was going to get clear, but I wonder if Cody was just at the point of, he was going to overheat, and he was screaming to his teammate, I'm hot, you got to go down, and Lee jumps down initially here, and it looked like he was clear. Was it a push? That's what you got to wonder. I don't think, well, It may have been. It initially looked like some aggression, but I think that's the push of when he jumps down from Dustin Carruthers that maybe gets him a little bit upset. And, well, it's hard for me to tell. It really is here. And we'll go to the chop review, and this will be the final look that we get of it. But watch here as he jumps down. Boy, he might be clear. It was barely, and Carruthers is going to give him a shot here. Offset a little bit in the right rear, but I don't know if it would have shot him that much up the track. Either way, he gets up, saves it, and then as he does save it, comes back down the track, and that's when he gets across the nose of Carruthers. But overall, has a pretty fantastic save. And of course, you got to give a tip of the cap there to tip of the cap, to John Herta for helping him out there. Could have went around and made things awkward, but instead decided to give the 04 break, and just like that, let's go back live. Things have all bunched back up. We're back to 2x2 pack racing, where everybody except the last two, the 15th and 16th place running trucks of Nate Barkley and John Songer, have all regrouped, and we should be getting ready for that first sequence, at least, of green flag pit stops here, probably in the next, again, I'd say maybe we'll call it 2 to 6 laps, but I'm thinking more realistically 2 to 4 laps. And you have a couple options. Of course, you could have short pitted this one, but it doesn't seem like anybody really wanted to do that. However, you definitely can short pit the next one, which we'll have to see if anybody decides to do. Again, if you can make it, you say about 18, 20 laps. You're not going to be able to make it on just one stop. That could get you close to lap 40. And then, of course, take a little bit of fuel from there, maybe about half a tank, just a little bit over. It should get you to the end of this race. 17 laps now complete. Outside starts to surge again. Hunter Reynolds doing some pushing right now. He's trying to get a feel for who he can work with and who he can't. Doesn't have any necessarily teammates in the field tonight, so he's just, again, working with whoever's got a good, fast truck. And in that case, it was John Ward, Larry McDonald, now the lead pusher on the outside, as they're going to be coming up on the lap truck here. That is the 93 of John Songer. In fact, he actually already went 1 lap down, so this will be for him to go 2 laps down. Based off when he already pit, by the way. And so I was getting ready to say, based off what we saw with him just pitting, I think that means we're getting ready to see pit stops here within just potentially the next lap or two. Does anybody peel down this time? No, they don't. They'll all stay out yet again. Larry McDonald, by the way, currently sitting in that 5th spot. He has made a couple moves in the wrong direction as he fell a couple spots from where he started. Meanwhile, the guy moving in the right direction, Joshua McCullough and Ken McCullough Jr., both up double digits in terms of positions from where they started this race at. Now, we do have a single driver cam here tonight, and it's Trevor Osranoff. Bottom right of your screen, he currently runs in the middle of this chaos in the 8th position. He's got the fabulous Stamper Hornet scheme on there, runs behind his teammate Dustin Carruthers, and he's not seen too much action here yet tonight. And again, just sitting in line, content to ride, save a little bit of fuel. The less you got to take on this first stop, the better. Does anybody peel down this time? No, they don't. They will stay out yet another lap. And the longer they stay out, the more likely it is that they're going to have to pit here. Probably, or excuse me, I guess just say more likely that they're going to have to pit probably right around lap 20. Just don't see them making really much, if any, further than that. John Ward up front, leading on the inside. Hunter Reynolds on the outside. Joshua McCullough, Larry McDonald making up row 2, and you can see Cody, the strategy worked out pretty well with fading back to catch his teammate, but that has buried them a little bit, which could play into the equation here of this first pit stop, if you will, in terms of, do they get caught up in an accident by being further back, or do they maybe avoid the accident by being further back in this pack? And them being on the outside, though, tells me that they're still fighting pretty hard here to try to get some position before that pit stop. And we still got quite a few guys actually on the outside, which again surprises me, because at least from what we heard, 65% is the fuel range, and that should not be much longer from where they're at now. Again, you can make about 30 laps on 100%. And so I think that's why you're maybe starting to see this outside fade back a little bit. Guys just trying to find a spot line. Hunter Reynolds, the luckiest of them all, with the push from Larry McDonald. He was actually able to get clear, and so he jumped to the lead, and will lead him down to the pits. Matt Lee, Cody Nagels thought about jumping down. They quickly jumped back out. So single file on the inside for the first 3 rows, and then it gets back to 2x2. Here we go. Do we see any pit stops potentially this time? Yes, we do. First group's going to peel off here. It looks like it's a lot of the guys that we see working or not necessarily working together, but guys that we see in a lot of the other money racing series. Trevor Oswanoff leads him down with John Ward, Joshua McCullough, Ken McCullough Jr., John Herta, Dustin Carruthers is in, as is the 7, Danny Barnes, and the 17 of Derek Raleigh. Danny Barnes with a new looking scheme on his truck here tonight as well. Good looking scheme. And so now that just leaves a couple of them out. Cody Nagels, Matt Lee, Hunter Reynolds, Larry McDonald, Shane Bradshaw on the 76 as well, who is actually currently being scored a lap down. All right, so as this group makes their way out here, led out by John Ward, followed by Trevor Oswanoff. And they got to get sorted out here pretty quick, because this first group, as they work their way out of 4, I got to expect that they're making their stop this time. Sure enough, here they go. Matt Lee, oh man, he almost got turned around there by Hunter Reynolds, but Hunter actually with a phenomenal pit stop there as he gets down to speed. They all do. And now we'll see which group was able to execute better on and off the pits and who's going to come out with the lead here. All making their way down to their box. Larry's the first one to pull into his box, followed by Cody, Lee, and Reynolds. And watch the track map here. Pull it up here on the top right of your screen. That group that's working their way out of 4 is the group of guys that is already pit. And John Ward here, let's see how he fares out. This is again coming into the trial right now as the leaders have already made their exit. They're on the short chute, but remember, they've got to stay on the flat as they try to get up to speed. So they've still got a lot of ground to make up here. And oh, I don't know, this is going to be close. I think that these leaders here are going to cycle out, or the guys that pit first are going to cycle out to the lead. However, I don't think that Cody Nagels, Larry McDonald, and a couple others are going to have to worry about necessarily losing the draft. They'll just have to jump up and blend in behind. So that's exactly what they'll do. Now, again, those stage breaks here tonight, no reward for leading halfway. All the money is paid out at the end. So we're still expecting one more green flag stop, maybe say about 20 laps or so from now, maybe just a little bit longer. And then, of course, the guys who pit later will have to take less for that final stop. Guys who pit sooner will have to take a little more. Now, you could short pit it in terms of go as soon as that window opens. That's certainly an option. We'll see if anybody decides to try it. But right now, it's going to be the battle of everybody just getting lined back up, getting grouped back together as one pack, and then trying to get back towards the front of the field. Cody just 200ths right now out of drafting range, but a little bit of push in there from Larry McDonald was all he needed, as they are now back in range. And they should be able to, again, to catch up with this group. Shane Bradshaw, the last truck with the lead pack. Matt Lee. Boy, what happened here? Was it a mistake for the 04? Whatever the deal was, it has now cost him being with the lead pack. Let's wind this back to the pit stop. See exactly what it was that cost the 04 that time. I thought he was doing okay here, getting out with these guys, but it was not the case. And in fact, did Lee have an issue here? Oh, he blinked out right at the end of his pit stop. That's what it was. He blinked out, and that's what cost him there. That's a really odd scenario that the 04 got himself into, but a tough break nonetheless. All right, 24, getting ready to be 25, and the halfway mark of this race complete. Just about a lap and a half from now. With that, we are going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us at Daytona. Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill.
On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega. Welcome back to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 125, presented by the R&R Racing League. Just 2 laps now, over halfway through this race, 23 to go, and normally that's about when we'd be saying it's crunch time. I don't think that's necessarily the case just yet, because again, we still have one more green flag pit stop. Talked about potentially thinning the herd with that first stop. That's exactly what we did. Look at this, Shane Bradshaw, Matt Lee, multiple people. In fact, there's Derek Raleigh actually losing a lap. I was trying to see if that was his first or second lap. James Dean. All these guys that have fallen off the lead pack, and it's gotten to the point where there's only 10 trucks that are hanging on to this lead pack, which is strung out single file. And that is all because nobody wants to make a move right now. Nobody wants to dare to jump out of line. There's not reason to do so just yet. And I think now's a good time while they are single file. Get a little bit of crank it up here at Daytona. Here we go. All right, and that'll do it for the Crank It Up segment here tonight at Daytona. No change for the lead. In fact, really no change in this pack at all. Everybody's still content to stay single file for now as we have hit 20 laps to go, getting ready to be 19 as they cross the stripe this time. And now that means that that fuel window has officially opened, at least from how far we saw most of these guys go during that first sequence of stops, if you will, in terms of we saw 20 and 21 laps. But I don't think we'll see anybody pit just yet. Even if you're going on the shorter side, I think you got to wait another probably 2 to 3 laps just to be safe, to make it to the end without having to save. And then that way, if we get maybe an overtime, because you never know what can happen here at the end of Daytona, certainly help you out as well. Now, we've been talking about this first group, but going back to that second group, you can see these guys, they're trying to get lined up. Matt Lee, Shane Bradshaw pushing on each other. James Dean in the 76, he's got the 7 of Nate Barkley just behind him. Nate, that's not for position, but Derek Raleigh did tag on to the back of the lead pack, by the way, so he is in position to get the lucky dog if we were to get a caution. But bringing up that second pack again, you know, they've gotten organized now. The problem is they're 22, almost 23 seconds back. So realistically, without a caution, this group will not have a chance at fighting for any money here tonight. But you see, we do have 2 trucks in total, 1 lap down, 1 truck 3 laps down. That's John Songer, and then talked about Barkley being a lap down, but not the lucky dog spot. That goes to Derek Raleigh, who again is tagged on to the back of that lead lap pack, and he needs to just make sure that he's just conservative here, because again, there's nobody that he's really battling right now, but if they wreck in front of him, he needs to make sure he stays out of it, because if you get any sort of contact during a wreck, you lose that lucky dog position. Just like that. It's going to be 17 laps to go when we cross the line this time. John Ward, been a good run for him overall tonight. He's had his fair share of laps led. Trevor Osrenoff He's kind of been the man behind the scenes doing a lot of the pushing for a couple different guys. Ken McCullough Jr. had to work his way up on the third lane, had a good pit stop, and now him and his teammate Joshua McCall find themselves inside the top 5, and then Joe Herta for KSR, third teammate in the field for them here tonight. You see he is sitting, rounding out actually the top 5, and then there's Cody Nagels, one of the biggest super speedway threats that you're going to find on the server in terms of the raw talent level. Of course, we know he knows how to get the job done at a track like Daytona. Got the Omega Cup Spring Bowl victory over for ERA, so we'll see what he can do here tonight. Unfortunate news for Cody, though, is that he lost his team help, so he'll be having to do it solo or try to find a new dancing partner at least. There's Larry McDonald just behind him in 7th, Hunter Reynolds in 8th, Danny Barnes 9th, and Dustin Carruthers rounding out your top 10 in the last truck in this lead pack. That truck that you see on the outside of these guys, Derek Raleigh, that is not for position. That's just Derek trying to get his lap back the hard way, which not a bad idea, but again, you know, I just don't think he's going to get any help right now, and if you don't get any help, I think your best bet is just jump back, be okay with the fact that you're a lap down for now, stick with the leaders, do whatever strategy they do so that you can stay with this lead pack, and again, just hope for a caution at any point over the course of these next 15 and a half laps to get yourself right back in the game. We talked about what kind of payouts we're generally looking like here tonight. Again, it was going to be a top 5 payout. Not sure the exact numbers now. They didn't meet quite the driver count that they were potentially expecting, but still a cool event. Again, we don't see R&R put that many events on, but if you're interested in joining any of these or want to know more about them, we do have the link to, to the description, or link to the Discord, I should say, in the description down below, so make sure you check that out. 15 laps to go now. Next place we head here on Ghost Racing Network is going to be on Friday night to the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series. Make sure you check them out. And then Tuesday Night Thunder again going to be coming up soon after this, which you'll see a lot of the same faces in, including guys such as Trevor Ozernoff, Ken McCullough Jr., Joshua McCullough, and a plethora of others in the field. But, I mean, what a great race that it's been here so far. I mean, we are 35 laps through this race, and we have not had a caution. In fact, we really only had one close call, and it was the incident between Matt Lee and Dustin Carruthers. Lee not quite clear as he was trying to gather the car back up, and when he came back down, went across the nose of Carruthers, basically spun out, but saved it. Here we go. Hold that thought. Pit stops. It's going to be the final round up of him. And wow, it's going to be everybody that is in this lead pack. Oh, not going to work. John Herta with some contact, but somehow they all save it. John Herta bouncing off that truck actually saved him, I think. And so it ends up going down. Actually, it's a pretty clean stop here. And so as long as nobody sped, I think what we're getting ready to see is a 10-truck race here for the win. See that second pack, one of the packs rather, working their way around. These are guys that did not pit. As you see Matt Lee creeping off the pits now, and I think he's going to be trying to help his teammate Cody Nagels. I think that was part of the strategy called there, is they're battling here, trying to decide who gets what spot on the exit of the pits as they work their way onto the flat, trying to get up to speed. Looks like Ken McCullough Jr. is going to be able to prevail there over the KSR truck. Number 1 KSR truck, rather, of Joe Herta. So it always never I understand, but it's always annoying to me in iRacing how for the pit merge, you have to wait till you get to the back stretch. Meanwhile, of course, in real life, guys merge kind of going into turn 1 so that they can get back on the banking. Certainly makes it a trickier pit road exit. A lot of the tracks we go to, and now the guys who had assumed the lead for just a lap, Shane Bradshaw, James Dean, and I think that's one of the lappers there. Sure enough, it is the 7 of Nate Barkley. We're going to bring it down for their stops as, John Songer with some trouble here as the 93 has went around. Wow, this is a really interesting spot to go around. This is down way below the apron, getting ready to go into turn number 1 by the short chute. Did he have some sort of technical difficulty? I mean, what happened here? Watch 93 here as he leaves the pits, or does he loop it? I mean, what goes on right here? See, looks okay, and then, just starts getting out of shape on him, and he's trying to play catch up and just can't do it. So you see the tires are spinning, and yeah, it's really interesting. You don't often see tire spin that bad in the trucks at a track like Daytona, but it was certainly affecting the way that 93 could get up to speed there. And it's another tough break for John Songer here tonight, as that will contribute to his now 4th lap down that he is gone. Meanwhile, back up front, here we go. Going to be 12 laps to go, and action is picking up. Cody Nagels on the outside. Matt Lee going to line up with him. That's a pretty good strategy call, too, for the 2 Dale Cup teammates. They realized, or I guess I should say Lee realized, that without a caution, he doesn't have a chance, but still could have a chance of getting some money here. He can push Cody to the front. The 420 truck of Joshua McCullough is going to look to the middle with Ken McCullough Jr. That's going to hurt this outside, but not for long because they've got the advantage. 4 trucks versus 2 versus 3. Cody trying to get clear here. I don't think he's quite going to have enough into 3. No, he doesn't. Ken McCullough Jr. now pushing on his teammate Joshua McCullough for all he's worth, trying to hold the outside line at bay, and I think if they can and Josh can get another run, Josh will probably jump to the inside, but right now, yeah, they were mostly worried about fending off the charge from up top, and now you see Cody is going to be able to find a little gap in the middle lane, so he jumps down for now, and he'll get just in front of Hunter Reynolds. That has caused all the help to go away for the outside. Ken McCullough Jr., Joshua McCullough, as they work their way down the Daytona Super Stretch, looking for anybody to jump out. They will get one. It's Trevor Oswornoff in the 89 machine. And Trevor is going to get enough of a push here. Yes, he will get clear. Does he decide to jump low? Not yet. No, he doesn't. And now he is, of course, no longer clear. Boy, the 89 with a big opportunity, a big move, and a good move at that. Just going to be interesting to see how he tries to play his cards here. You know, I know Logan mentioned it earlier, but talking back on the point of about different league, that's true. You don't know what to expect from some of these guys, and we'll just have to see how everything pans out here in the closing 10 laps. Again, no more pit stops expected over the course of these next couple handful of laps, but if we get a caution, that could, of course, change some things around. And you see on your scoring pylon there that Shane Bradshaw, Dean, and Raleigh are all, well, Raleigh's actually going to be in danger of probably going a lap down again, even though he got it back before this race is over. Going to be 9 laps to go when we cross the line this time. You can certainly tell that the anticipation is starting to pick up, and you know that there's certain guys here that are just not going to go out quietly. I look at Cody Nagels. You know he's going to be looking for a move sooner or later. Again, what we've heard, it's only a top 5 payout, so you're not going to get any money finishing 6 on back, and there is still 10 trucks in this league group, so a lot of guys are going to have to maybe push the truck a little bit more than they'd like, get a little bit uncomfortable. It's just what you're going to have to do to have a chance here, especially at the end. Oh, man, John Ward, he got clear, and he jumped up, but boy, it was not by much, just barely able to get in front of Trevor Oswornoff before he got turned around. Still 2x2 down the Daytona Super Stretch. On the bottom now, looking to get his first lap led of the night, it's Joe Herta. Got shuffled back a couple times, had a couple of close calls, but here he is up front leading at Daytona with 8 laps to go. I say 8, it'll actually officially be 8 as they cross the stripe this time. Ward, though, with another good push, enough to get him back clear to the bottom as he jumps down. That'll give the outside line a chance to cool their temps. And, you know, I wonder, when do you start this third lane if you're somebody that's planning on starting it? Because the problem is if you wait too long to try to get it going and the momentum's not there, the middle and the bottom still have temps, it's just not going to work. I think with that knowledge, it's maybe a good idea to try it 3, maybe even 4 laps before we get to the final lap of this race. Just, again, try kind of anything you can to see what the truck will do, how it'll pull a draft based off which lane you're in, what moves you're making. So Oswornoff, you see there, is going to make a little move of his own as he's trying to pinch it on the door of Ward, looking for a side draft, and now the bottom has faded to only 2 trucks. Boy, this top is really going to roll right here. Ken McCullough Jr. trying to get to the back of his teammate Joshua McCullough to give him another push. And he's able to do so. Will anybody jump to the bottom and try to help these two? Lone stragglers for now as Trevor Oswornoff gets clear. Maybe he'll be the man that chooses to jump down. Seven laps to go, 2x2 as they work their way off of turn number 2. Here we go, third lane, getting formed up. Guess who? Cody Nagels. Joshua McCullough's going to go as well as they all split Trevor Oswornoff. Cody with a great push. Oswornoff almost with a push that gets him offset. And so now as Josh gets clear, does he take it? No, he will not. Felt like, I guess, he just did not quite have enough to get all the way clear, so he decided it'd be better to stay up. And I think Cody's going to go ahead and abandon ship right there. That's exactly what he does. And he's looking to get paired back up with his teammate, I think. Oh, rocking big! Hard into the outside wall goes the one of John Herta. And I apologize. I just realized I had been saying John Herta. I told him I'd correct it. Joe Herta. Caution is out. First one of the night. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, the strategy gets flipped on its lid, and we are going to have potentially an overtime right here. Let's go back and see what caused it. I was looking towards the back half of this group, and it kind of caught my eye initially, but thought it was just maybe a bobble, and certainly was not the case here. Trevor Osbernoth, yikes. Friendly fire here. It's almost symmetrical or identical, I guess, incidents right here. We're going to go to the chopper view first to see if there was some netcode involved in either one of these. First one, again, Trevor Osbernoth on his teammate here, Joe Herta. And I think that's contact. I mean, it's close, but Trevor is, pinching here for pretty much all he's worth. To be fair, they go 3 wide. Trival's a pretty tight spot, and yeah, he just gets into the right rear there of Joe Herta, and it's going to send the one around. Nothing he can do. Hard impact into the outside wall. You see it tears that truck apart. Give you another angle of this right here. I mean, watch it just tear this thing to shreds as he gets hooked. And the other thing that I kind of noted at the time, and in fact, I do want to go back to the chopper view one more time before we go any further to see, or so I can show you kind of exactly what I meant with both wrecks being identical, or there being 2 identical wrecks really at the same time. Watch Joshua McCullough and Ken McCullough Jr. right here. They're on the top, and Ken's in the middle now, but I think he's going to get some help up to the top here. No. Larry McDonald actually washes up the track a little bit. And as Larry does so, he gets into Ken McCullough Jr. Watch Larry McDonald just washing up. Gets his right rear into the left front of Ken McCullough Jr., which sends him around, and then backs on from there. Not sure yet who's going to get the lucky dog. Depends on who is involved in this one that had the potential to get it. As I want to go see how bad the damage is for some of these guys, or just the extent, rather, this crash caused. As there was the initial contact. Big hit for Joe Herta. Couple guys able to sneak through without any damage. And if we go to the spectator cam, first wreck of the day, but it takes the form of a pretty big one at that. Now my question is, did Matt Lee get through this unscathed? Not sure if the 04 did. Let's hop on the onboard view and find out. Yeah, a little bit of contact, and that's unfortunate, because that means with that amount of contact, he will not get the lucky dog, and now he's got some more damage, too, than what he initially had. So, tough break for Matt Lee, along with a couple others. We will get ready to go back to green flag racing. Oh, one wreck in the back. Slides down the banking. That's John Songer under caution with trouble. Gets a loop back around here as he's trying to get the truck to accelerate on the banking. Tough to do if you're not going fast enough. Now, again, I said it would be 4 laps to go. Should be 2 to go, so I think it'll be a natural green-white checkered. You've got John Ward leading, Larry McDonald second, Danny Barnes third, Dustin Crothers in fourth, and James Dean in fifth. And again, if you're watching, I know I've said it, but I want to apologize again. Joe Herta, it is Joe. I know I was calling him John last time and tried to fix it, and here we are again. For some reason, I don't know why I'm reading it as John. It clearly says Joe. But nonetheless, one of the guys involved in that wreck, he's got a lot of work ahead of him right here. All right, so it's going to be, again, 2 laps to go. We will catch the overtime finish and more when we come back. Stick with us for the finish at Daytona. All right, here we go. 2-lap shootout to decide it. Green flag back in the air at Daytona. It's a good start for both lanes. Larry McDonald looking for a big win. If he could get the job done here tonight, John Ward, the Hyper Motorsports captain looking to see what he can do right here. Danny Barnes, that is a teammate to the 92. Initially didn't think he had any tonight, but he has managed to find a dancing partner. 76 back in the mix as well after a rough night. But here we go, the outside. They're marching, rolling right now. Larry McDonald looking to see if he can get clear, and he does. Does he jump down? He does, but it's a little bit late. Able to make it work, and here comes the middle now. Hunter Reynolds with a huge surge of momentum. Dustin Carruthers has to cut it off. And this is going to get this outside rolling even more. They are stacked up, and they have fallen back. Larry McDonald, he gets turned. Larry's going to go for a ride into the inside. Safer barrier. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Daytona. Larry McDonald not going to be happy, but all bets are off now. White flag being in the air. This race is official. We're either going to wreck them or we're going to finish this thing, and we're going to wreck them. Big time. The big one strikes on the last lap at Daytona. They're all piling up in turn 2. How many escape? Looks like it's only going to be 2 of them. 2-truck race to decide it. James Dean out of nowhere with trouble earlier. Now finds himself in the lead, but he's got John Ward behind him. And Ward's going to set up this move. He's practiced this 100 times. One of the best of the best when it comes to money racing. Here he goes. Looks to the outside. He's got to get a side draft right here. What can James Dean do? Can he do anything? Drag race. It'll be a photo finish all the way down to the line. Maybe not. Ward's going to get clear by half a truck length. John Ward wins it at Daytona. A duel to settle it, and John Ward comes out the victor. Driver out of Valdosta, Georgia. He's going to be going home with some money here tonight. What a job he did all night. Led plenty of laps. And it pays off as he gets the win. Looks like we're not even going to get a burnout. Hey, I tell you what that does for us is that gives us more time to go back and break down the chaos and the calamity that ensued here over the course of this last, say about the white flag lap course, but even just before that with, of course, Larry McDonald getting turned. And I think Larry kind of got bullied around here just a little bit potentially, but go back to the chopper view. And watch this here. Yeah, Larry, I think he's just getting maybe pushed up a little bit. It's hard for me to tell if, he's trying to go up or he's just getting pushed up. I'm thinking he's getting pushed up. Now let's go to the cockpit view here and watch his hands. Do they ever move up? No, they don't. No, they do not. Larry was trying everything to stay down on the inside, but you can push in the corners, but when you push hard enough sometimes, it can get a guy up the track, and Larry was trying to hold it down. Unfortunately, though, just couldn't quite do it here. Does Sean Ward get him off sets? Maybe a little bit right there on exit, but then it's going to be Larry's going to try to jump back down right here. Well, maybe not. At that point, John Ward's on his left rear and just kind of hooking him. There's nothing Larry can do at that point. And then he's going to go for a ride and take a big hit on the inside wall. Now let's go back and look at the chaos that ensues up front here. Big momentum from the outside, exactly what we expected. Carruthers takes the lead, and Hunter Reynolds looks low. Carruthers thinks about a block, thinks better of it. That's not where the incident necessarily starts. Starts right here as Joshua McCullough gets into Carruthers, no problem there. And the 92 of Ward's going to give Hunter Reynolds a pretty big push. Actually, that push gets him a little up the track. 26 and the 10 get together, and now the wreck's on. Ward almost gets collected. In fact, he does. His truck gets ramped up in the air. Somehow, I cannot believe the 92 made it through that. John Ward gets through. You see the 76 sneaks through down low. Everybody else is involved. I cannot believe that John Ward made it through that. That is absolutely incredible. And then talked about the big wreck that ensued out back, and everybody just trying to, it's the last lap, full throttle, trying to make it through it. And unfortunately, there was not a lot that got through it. Look at the wreck one more time before we go back and go to the onboard for John Ward. Man, I know that was one heck of a few, and collects just about the entire field. I think it collected in all 14 out of the 16 trucks, as of course we only saw 2 really running at the end. And then I do want to go to one more view here, the onboard view for John Ward, all the way back to the white flag lap. Actually, just a little bit further than that even. Show the contact with Larry McDonald. So here we go. You hear John lift. I mean, I will say, I don't think John meant to do that. You heard him get out of the throttle pretty much completely there for a second, hoping that Larry could get back down or either go up, whichever one. Just sometimes a product of what happens at a track like Daytona. But then right here, just gets Reynolds a little bit too hard, and then it's on from there. But look at this. I mean, that is absolutely incredible that he missed that wreck. And then at this point, it was all about setting up the move. And he set it up perfect to get around James Dean. All right, well, what a finish that we got between those two trucks. And let's take a look at the rest of your results here. John Ward, again, your winner tonight at Daytona. James Dean brings home second. Derek Raleigh in third. Cody Nagels in fourth. And Joshua McCullough rounding out your top five. Trevor Osmernoth finishes sixth. Joe Herda in seventh. Shane Bradshaw eighth with Hunter Reynolds in ninth. Danny Barnes rounding out your top 10. Ken McCullough Jr. in 11th with Dustin Carruthers in 12th. Larry McDonald 13th with Matt Lee in 14th. Nate Barkley in 15th. John Songer in 16th. And then Chris Carson, again, did not actually race tonight. He was race controlling. So we will go ahead and ignore that. All right, we're going to go see if we can get your top three in here for some interviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back at Daytona. All right, back live at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Going to start first with the third place finisher, Derek Raleigh. Derek, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you, man.
Well, you make it through the last lap, big one. You bring home a podium finish. First of all, how did you get through that last lap wreck? And overall, how did you manage to secure that third place finish?
Well, let's see here. First off, I went a lap down because I had some issues with my wheel and my brakes were locking up in the pits. So I had to jump out of the truck and fix that, jump back in, went a lap down. The field caught me. I stuck with them, and when they went in the pits, I stayed out as long as I could, went down in the pits, and came back out. And there was a caution. Got the lucky dog. Lucky day, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. I drove it down in the grass there. I seen them wrecking. Drove it all the way down in the grass, did some dirt car driving, pulled it back up, and I had no idea where I was even in the field, and brought it home third. So I checked after I passed the start finish line. I checked it. I was like, oh my God, I got third. Hey. So it's a good run, man. Lots of fun. Exciting.
Certainly was. And yeah, that wreck collected just about everybody besides the top three. So congrats on making it through that, and congrats on the third place finish. Before we let you head out, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, man. Thank you guys at Ghost Racing Network for putting this on. Everybody that showed up here tonight, very big help. I appreciate all the guys that showed up tonight. No crap. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Admin Box is a new sponsor for R&R Racing, and Dubby. So I'd like to thank them too as well. Other than that, man, I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you. Thank you too, man.
Thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the third place finish, and we'll see you next time.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Bye.
All right, now that'll bring us to your second place finisher, James Dean. James, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin. What's going on, buddy?
Well, after the last lap, big one, it came down to a duel between you and John Ward. He got the better of you, but overall, still bringing home a lot of money. Is there anything you wish you would have done different, though, after that wreck to maybe capture the win?
No, I had wheel damage. I had nothing for him.
It certainly looked that way. I mean, we saw a lot of guys get collected and a lot of guys get damaged. But, nonetheless, similar to what we've kind of seen the trend be for at least third and second here tonight, you go a lap down just about at one point, and you manage to get back with the leaders, and then you make it through that last lap wreck. How do you kind of keep that focused mindset, even when things are looking pretty grim, as they did for you in the early portions of the race?
Man, I just keep going. I'm going to tell you what, I owe a big shout out to Shane Bradshaw for keeping me on that lead lap.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight, go celebrate with your winnings. Is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Shane Bradshaw, brother.
There you go. Hey, well, we appreciate you talking to us. Again, congrats on second, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your winner, Hyper Motorsports captain, John Ward. John, this is Austin the Booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, you get the job done. First question we got to ask is the elephant in the room. 2 contacts there with trucks, one coming to the white flag and one on the white flag. Both guys get wrecked out. Was there anything you wish you maybe could have done a little different there? And then, of course, overall, how did you time up the move to ultimately get the win after that?
Yeah, it was crazy last. I led a bunch of the race, and I knew it was going to get wild. I had my teammate behind me on the restart. I told him to push like crazy. They had a run. I feel real bad. It wasn't nothing I could really do. I was looking at the replay with Larry. He went up kind of high. I was off the gas a little bit there, trying to get under him, and I turned him. He just went up too high, got under his quarter, and turned him. I really didn't want to let off too much on the last lap there. And the other one, I did push the guy in the turn, and he kind of went up net coated with Dustin. And I mean, there's not much letting off on the last lap on these things. But yeah, I was going for it there. It wasn't nothing intentional there. I was surprised I made it through that last wreck. I knew I was going to be done. After that one, I was like, oh God. But yeah, and after the I didn't know I was going to win it. I was behind. I was like, shit, I made it through the wreck. Sorry about that. But I made it through the wreck, and I was going to ride in second. And I was good, you know. And I jumped out, and I seen he had damage. I was like, well, I might go on around him. So I went on around him. He had damage, and I ended up winning the race.
Yeah, you did. And I mean, we went back and watched your onboard view. We saw an outside view. I don't know how you managed to get through that wreck. The back end of the truck got lifted off the ground when someone hit you. You nearly missed Dustin Carruthers. I mean, it was a phenomenal job, not just only missing the wreck, but of course pulling out at the right time and making that winning move. So before we let you head out to celebrate in victory lane here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank Derek for putting this race on. He did a decent job here, pretty decent turnout the way things been running. For you guys doing the broadcast, you always do a good job, Ghost Racing Network, and my team, Danny, he helped me out a little bit there. So good job.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Again, congrats on the win, and we'll see you out here next time.
You got it.
All right, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight for the Daytona 125 for R&R Racing League. Crazy race, clean race. Finish got a little dicey, but nonetheless, John Ward prevails, comes out a winner. So with that, that'll do it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and until next time, have a good night.